It's 20 days until November 5th, and the early vote is breaking records. Democratic enthusiasm is through the roof, and Trump appears to be sundowning before our eyes. Why is this election even close? Welcome to MOMocrats Mama Chat, part of the Demcast family of podcasts. I'm Donna Schwartz Mills with Karoli and Aliza Worthington of crooksandliars.com. And as I was saying to Karoli just before we went on the air, I'm a nervous wreck. And I know that I shouldn't be, because this is the kind of thing that we as Democrats always do. And especially after 2016, I think we do it more and more instead of looking at how well we did in 2018, 2020, 2022. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
I feel like I'm the opposite. I feel like I'm not nervous enough.
Good. You guys have to talk me down.
I'm not either. And I'm okay with that. I mean, first of all, you have to stop paying attention to polls.
I
Like
know.
you literally cannot put the word polls in your filter for your social media so that you don't see them.
How do you
Because
do that?
I mean, there's a way.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, you can filter words and then
or I'd like to see. I want to see good polls, and that's what I have been seeing. I mean,
yeah. So I mean, the polls are going to tell you what they've told you all along because they are weighted for the worst case scenario. So they're going to tell you that the race is close, that 47% of Trump voter are going to vote for Trump, and it's whether she can score the other undecideds and so on and so forth. We have a record number of Republicans out there recruiting Republicans.
Stumping.
And that's a really untapped resource, right? All those Nikki Haley voters and everything like that in those. So we have them out there doing that. We have
about
enthusiasm.
An hour, she made a speech with two Republicans, with like 100 Republicans on the stage with her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as always, she was fantastic.
Right. And she's not only endorsing Kamala Harris, she's endorsing other Democrats.
Right.
Cheney.
Colin Allred is one.
Yeah, Liz Cheney. I'm saying Liz Cheney is endorsing other Democrats.
Yeah, right. Kamala was the one that gave the speech today.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, she endorsed Colin Allred too, but and she sent Dougie out there to do some work for him. So,
and Colin Allred, kicked butt last night in his.
He definitely did in the debates and stuff. Now, so that debates in general, other than the Biden debate that was so costly, but other than that, the debates in general seem to go our way, and yet I don't think they make that much of a difference. I think that the better metric is the enthusiasm, the anxiety to vote, and this is what I'm hearing and what I experienced when I was in Michigan, but it's what I'm hearing from other swing state people that are doing door knocking and stuff, is that enthusiasm is off the charts. And people are just chomping at the bit to go and vote.
I mean, what was it? 300,000 people in Georgia yesterday?
Huge record-breaking number. Huge.
Double the amount, the highest that they ever did before.
Right. And the early vote. And you can't, so Trump is not exactly saying don't early vote anymore. So you don't know how much of that is Republican, but I think you can probably assume that the enthusiasm is still on our side of the aisle, right? And that's what I see over and over again. That's what I saw in Michigan. I saw a few Trump signs, not going to lie, but mostly I saw Harris wall signs, and I saw them pop up every day, more and more of them as
really?
Nice. Oh, that feels good.
That's nice.
So it was not just, and obviously this is anecdotal, and it's just that little piece of Michigan that I was in, from Grand Rapids, say, to Muskegon, which is where I was, and everything. But it was an indicator to me that there is a lot of enthusiasm in these swing states, and a lot of women are, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, she's
Part of
ahead
that,
with
they're
women.
driving that.
Yeah.
And one of the interesting interactions I had was I walked into a coffee shop last Saturday with my Kamala hat on, ordered coffee, was sitting there drinking it with Tim, and this gal comes up, she gets her coffee and she turns around, she says, "I like your hat." And I said, "Well,
Was this
thank
in
you." And
Michigan?
pardon me?
Was this in Michigan?
Yeah,
Yeah, I had the same experience in Michigan. A lot of in conspiratorial tones.
right.
We
Yeah,
I
the
was
next thing she
told
said was, "You're brave." And I thought, "What? I mean, what are they gonna do? Take my
right.
hat off?
Yeah, what are
Spit
they
in my
gonna beat me
face?" I
up?
mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm a
But I
55
didn't
year old
feel like
woman. What are they gonna do to me? Like I
right.
can wear my Kamala shirt.
Well, I was wearing this shirt,
Mhm,
Pete's Coffee, Porter Ranch, California.
Yeah.
And even
mhm.
I got a "You're brave" from a woman who whispered to me.
Oh,
Yeah. And I thought to myself, maybe
we're
we've
so
just been intimidated too
we're so
long,
Wasn't for
traumatized.
that.
you know?
We're so traumatized.
Yeah, but we need to not be. We
Yeah.
need to
He's
claim
talking about using the military against protesters. And
yeah,
Yeah.
all I can think of is how many hundreds of thousands of us were on the streets
yeah,
the day after he was inaugurated. And
yeah,
he was probably sitting there in the Oval Office fantasizing about shooting us up.
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah,
But I mean,
fantasizing about
again,
dropping
that's
bombs on us and yeah.
Mhm.
most normal people, like even Republicans that I know, aren't in favor of using the military to shoot protesters.
Right.
Right? I mean, they're this is not something that they think about or fantasize about on any level, and are in fact somewhat horrified by. Because
Yeah.
I mean, Republicans traditionally, and I'm not talking about the rabid ones now. I'm talking about like people like my mother-in-law has been a Republican forever. It will die a Republican. There's not even a chance she's going to be anything else, right? But but her idea of being a Republican does not involve sicking the military on people who are protesting. It just
Right.
doesn't.
Right.
Even with her Fox News indoctrination, it doesn't
Yeah.
do that. So, those are the kind of extreme things that are, being hammered home, by the way, by Kamala Harris, who's doing a great job, I
Oh
think
my
of
God.
You guys
anyway.
gonna watch her Fox News appearance?
Yeah, I'm not
That's
gonna
while
watch
we're
it.
recording this, but I'm recording that. So,
Yeah, I mean, I might, I think we'll probably have the YouTube TV on the
uh,
4,
yeah,
you know.
When is it again? It's Brett Baer, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
And when is it?
in 20 minutes
Yeah, I think it starts at 3
Oh, okay.
or time,
our
6 or
time, so
Yeah.
6 your time.
yeah.
Yeah.
And people there was a mild kerfuffle about it being pre-recorded and
Yeah.
so stupid. You know,
Yeah. I
they're all
mean,
pre-recorded.
I think she'll be fine. And
It'll
I
be
mean, she
fine.
did Charlemagne the God yesterday, and he was, I
He
thought,
was
a really tough
fantastic. Yeah.
interview. Yeah,
Yeah.
she did.
A
Yeah.
much better interview than what she was getting from CNN.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, he was pressing her on question. One of the questions that he asked her, and I loved her answer to this, was, "You always seem to stick to your talking points."
Yeah.
And she said it's called discipline,
Yeah.
Right.
which I thought, yeah, that's a great answer. You go.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
not used to anymore, you know?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So she was, I thought she did a great job on that interview. I honestly, I think she's done a great job with all the interviews she's done.
Yeah.
I'm biased, of course, but I compare that to like watching Trump do that interview yesterday at the Chicago Economic Club.
Oh, yeah. Was that yesterday or the day before?
Yeah,
It
But
was
the
yesterday.
Chicago Economics
in the
Forum was
morning. That was in the morning.
Yeah,
God, these days are long.
I
But
know
yeah,
they
yeah, that
are.
was in the morning. And he would the Bloomberg guy was just hammering him.
Yeah,
And that's like the first reporter, um, the first interviewer who really was
Yes.
not letting him get away with
He
anything.
is not used to being questioned
Challenged.
by a real journalist.
Yeah, that was the first real interview by a real reporter that,
And it was bizarre. I mean, he asked him a question about whether Google should be broken up and got an answer about Virginia purging voters
yeah.
off voter rolls.
And he just went back and said the question was about Google.
And I think that he did
he did that
eventually
multiple
answer the
times.
Google question, but it was like, why did you rant about Virginia voters for 3 minutes before you actually answered the question?
Well,
And
yes,
how hard is that as a journalist to say that doesn't answer my question? How hard is that? What CNN, MSNBC, Fox?
Right?
How hard is that to say? But I asked you about Google.
Yeah.
What?
I know.
All you're doing is, there's no reason to accept complete obfuscation, complete bullshit from someone who wants to hold this office. There's no good reason for it other than self-preservation or self-aggrandizement or access, which is what these other reporters are, devoted to or beholden to because of their jobs or whatever. But like, I listened to this guy from Bloomberg and I was like, thank you. It was such a welcome, I don't know.
The thing is, they do ask follow-ups to the Democrats.
Oh,
right.
Sure.
It's the Republicans that they allow to get away with it.
And how ironic that it's Bloomberg that finally started showing journalists how it's done.
Well, this guy is a Brit. He had worked years at The Economist before.
Well, and that tells you something, Yes. I mean, I noticed that.
Yeah. Yeah, no. It was surprising.
Yeah.
Because we just haven't seen that in a long time.
Right.
And, and Trump canceled 60 Minutes. He canceled an appearance on CNBC with
a friendly Joe Kernan
that we didn't even know was happening. I think, right?
Friendly, right.
Yeah.
And they are increasingly. I mean, they do seem to be aware that he's not all there, and so they're shielding him. And what he did the other night at his rally in Pennsylvania, I mean, we shouldn't just stop talking about that.
So it was a friendly town hall. So start with that. So it was, and he was supposed to be answering questions. He answered questions that he didn't answer the questions though. He just, kind of did what he always did. Right. And then and then there was a medical emergency, and then there was a second medical emergency. I mean, those happen in those rooms. It's hot.
Well, especially if they don't turn the air conditioning on, and they're too cheap to put the air conditioning on.
Right. And he was late because he's always late.
Right.
For everything. So that happened after the second medical emergency. He just stood there for a minute and then had them play Ave Maria. Which is the most bizarre. Okay, I get, okay, we're going to take a break. We're going to play some music, and then, but Ave Maria?
Who wants to stand at a political rally and listen to Ave Maria?
Right. And he played it 3 times.
He played more than one version of it.
Yeah.
Because the first one wasn't the one he wanted to hear. He wanted to hear the Pavarotti version.
Right. And everything. So, and then he played YMCA and a whole bunch of other songs, but he's just standing there grooving to the music, and not doing anything. It was really weird. It was by far the weirdest few moments I've seen.
I don't know.
The thing is, the same thing happens when Obama was giving a speech. There was a medical emergency in the audience, and he stopped for a minute and he said, let the medical personnel get to the person, make room, and blah blah blah, and and then after 45 seconds, maybe at the most, he said, okay, they're going to be fine, and then he turned around and kept talking.
Right.
Same thing happened right after the handoff when Kamala was, introducing herself as the presidential candidate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, it was summer, it was hot, and things were
Yeah.
happening.
Things happen.
And
But I mean,
and
like,
she needs to get some water out to that person. They're
you don't stand there for 40 minutes.
no, instead he jokes about it, you know?
Yeah.
He jokes about them not being well, and it also reminds you of what he did at that ranch here in California over the
Uh,
weekend, where, the rules were, first of all, they kept billing it as Coachella. It's
Yeah.
not really Coachella, it's
Not
it's a
why
private
was he
ranch.
doing that?
It was a private ranch, but
Why
the
was he
rules
doing
were
that?
they could not park at the ranch, they had to park elsewhere and take a shuttle bus to
right.
get there, and he
Right.
didn't pay the shuttle buses, so all of those people were stranded at the ranch when
There
the
was
ranch
one
was
bus. I
over,
think there was one bus out of the 20 that took them there.
and they had to walk 5 miles to get back to
5
the
miles.
cars
Elderly
at
people.
night.
And this is not the first time that's happened at a Trump
No,
event
it's not
either.
the first time.
And you know what's sad about that is I'll bet all those people were like, I would walk through broken glass for
Yeah,
Donald Trump,
Oh,
you
it's
know?
all over.
ridiculous.
Broken glass for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all that. And so those are the true believers. And I honestly don't know why he bothered to do anything in Riverside.
I think it's down ballot. I think he
Maybe,
I
but he
think
doesn't give a shit about down ballot. If he did, he would like behave better.
he wants to keep Mike Johnson in so
Yeah,
that
well, that's not happening.
they can do their little tricks,
Yeah, that's not
January
happening.
6th.
Fuck you. That's what I
Yeah,
have to say. Oh, I got the first fuck, didn't I?
You got the
it's
first
okay, it's
one.
worth it. It's worth
First
it.
one.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I'll tell you the ads that the Republicans are running in my district are getting increasingly horrible. There's
Oh
one
yeah.
against George Whitesides that they're running right now where they're accusing him of supporting pedophiles. And
there's a lot of that in Michigan too. And
yeah,
Mike Rogers' ads against Alyssa Slotkin were just vile. They
oof,
were just awful. And so if you watch football, which I do, that's where I saw the most ads for
right.
both sides. It was like that was the place.
Yeah,
So
I see it in the baseball and football,
Mhm.
and they're really. I mean, same thing for Angela. Also, Brooks. The ads against her now, Hogan's ads against her are cartoonish
Are
almost.
they Hogan's or are they the outside group? Because
Oh,
there's
it might
the
be the
outside
outside
group,
groups, but
what I'm seeing is the NRCC. That's the one that's accusing George Whitesides of supporting pedophiles.
I
yeah.
And
should
then
pay better
the
attention. But
Congressional Leadership Committee, which is all GOP Republicans, I mean, House Republicans. And
Yeah.
those are the ones that are accusing him of supporting crime in Los Angeles, because he must have given a donation to George Gascon, you
mm,
know, trying to tie him. And you see these three old retired cops, walking tough, don't
mhm.
put George Whitesides near Congress, you know.
Yeah,
It's
well, they're doing some, the ads, the anti Angela also Brooks ads, are almost like those cheesy late night commercials where it says, "Do you suffer from psoriasis?" And and they're in and it's in black and white, and they have like lightning bolts where your
Oh
pain
yeah,
is supposed to
I
be,
love the lightning bolts.
yeah.
and then it go, vote, well, if you get this pain reliever, and then everybody's in color, and it's blah blah blah. Like that's what the ads are like almost for Angela also Brooks is a tax cheat and blah, and it's all in
Oh
black and white, and
yeah,
it's almost like they
yeah.
drew Sharpie marker, evil eyebrows on her, and it's just like so stupid. But then there are the Hogan ads where it's Hogan saying that he'll protect Roe v. Wade, and all these fucking lies, and that he thinks we're going to buy the fact that he supports a woman's right to make a decision with her doctor on what happens to her body, which is total fucking bullshit. Um, you know,
Well, what I do love is that, the Democrats are pulling out all the big guns.
yeah,
Hakeem
Yep.
Jeffries was in my district over the weekend, helping to canvass and
yeah,
drum up, enthusiasm
yeah,
from the people there.
Mhm.
Adam
yeah. Full
Schiff,
court press. They're really,
yeah, Adam Schiff, he's going to beat Garvey handily. He's not even doing that much advertising, and
Yeah.
thank
he's
God, Steve Garvey is Delulu. He is just a fucking nut.
yeah, he was a good first baseman. That's it.
Yeah.
Good, good for him.
But Schiff is, giving money freely to the other Democratic races where we might be able to flip.
I'm
You
still
know,
mad at him, but okay. I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm glad. I'm just petty and I hold a grudge.
I'm still angry too, and especially I don't know if you guys caught Lawrence O'Donnell's interview with Bob Woodward the other night.
I didn't.
No, I didn't. And I hope that Lawrence O'Donnell gave him shit.
He didn't because of talking about what Bob Woodward says in his book
Yeah.
about Joe Biden is basically that, Joe Biden's going to go down in history as one of the greatest presidents we've ever had.
Well,
He
all
has
the
an epilogue.
backstabbers are saying
He
that.
has an epilogue where he says that usually when he writes these books, he, uncovers secrets that are, bad.
Yeah.
You know, what he did writing this book was see these dedicated public servants who were doing everything they could to save the country and to save our foreign policy. And basically that Joe Biden is a hero.
He is.
He is.
About time somebody said that.
It's making me actually want to buy the fucking book.
Ugh.
You know?
Sigh.
Yeah. Sigh.
I mean, there's always something that makes you want to buy that book. Whatever book he writes, there's always something in
Yeah.
it that makes you want to read it. And then
But this
and
is
and every time I do that, right? It's only like one chapter that's worth reading, and the rest of it's already been let out, and seen it
yeah,
in the wild.
the praise for Biden and his foreign policy team, and really the whole administration for what they did after COVID. And
Mhm.
the book's called War, so it's about, Ukraine
Mhm.
and our foreign policy.
Mhm.
And
But imagine our foreign policy with Trump. That's what I really want people to get, is that I mean, Biden is being stymied on purpose in the
yes, he
Middle
is.
East.
Yes,
I mean, that's an on purpose thing, and that's basically at this point Russia, and Iran putting their puppets up, and Bibi,
Israel. Yeah,
yeah,
maybe.
and Bibi Netanyahu. But he's doing his best.
Yeah,
Imagine if it were Trump. I mean, Trump wants, you know, beach property in Gaza.
right.
Talk about
So,
sigh.
Mhm.
I said talk about sigh.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean,
I
and
mean,
this is the stuff.
how long ago did I don't even remember. We should go back. I should probably. I don't have the energy to do it. But how many episodes ago did I say? Did I predict when Kamala Harris wins the election, within a week or so, Hamas will release the hostages?
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
get those back.
Yeah. Because, we have a
Yeah.
history of this
Because
happening.
they're going to be like, oh, well, now we don't really. Now we're not going to get Trump, so that's what we were holding him for
They
anyway.
use our elections
As a
to
cudgel.
try to manipulate us.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
And that goes back to Vietnam.
All the way back to Vietnam. And Nixon, also violating the Logan Act.
Mhm.
And,
Yes.
and I'm sure Trump has violated it many times. And,
Well, I'm sure that, Trump had a benign reason to have all those classified documents, right?
Oh,
oh, yeah,
sure.
right.
Well, they
Yeah.
belonged to him, really. They were his property.
He can
Come
do what
on.
he
Yeah,
wants.
right. So, with regard to the classified documents case, I think I just read something about Jack Smith basically trying to get that case back on track and you get
Yeah.
the 11th Circuit to reinstate it. And I can't wait. I hope he does. And I hope
Oh,
they
man.
kick Eileen Cannon in the ass in the process.
I'm
So,
telling you, man.
I
That would
mean,
be.
one of the reasons that I'm not stressed about this election is because I do believe that most people don't want a criminal in the White House.
Yeah.
There's his core. There's always been his base. There always will be his base. And yes, it's bigger than it should be, but it's not the majority. It is not the majority in this country. I just don't believe it is.
Well, I do think that what Simon Rosenberg in the Hopium Chronicles says makes sense. That if they thought they were winning, they wouldn't be flooding the zone the way they are with the kinds of polls they've been flooding the zone with.
I
Exactly.
need to follow that guy.
Oh yeah, he's worth following. He's
You
good.
do. You do.
Yeah,
You know,
he's definitely worth following.
yeah, I
And
feel good while I'm reading his newsletter, but then I go read the Bulwark and I don't feel good anymore.
Oh, don't read
so
the
that's
Bulwark.
why I really think that, I mean, maybe this is just my own defense mechanisms, but I feel like it's time to not pay attention to the polls. You've already voted. You already sent yours in.
I sent
And
mine in. I've written,
postcards,
hundreds of postcards. I've
right.
given tons of money.
Mhm.
Um,
Right. And so at this point, you have to, I feel like, pay attention and don't let don't let the gremlins get you,
Yeah.
like that. I'm in some groups in different, different like chat groups and stuff, and where I've seriously considered just stepping out for the rest of, until we're done with this, because they're so nervous and obsessive about everything, and it just makes your anxiety,
it's
it
because stakes are
increases
so
your
high.
anxiety, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I know.
So rather than being anxious about it, try to focus on the positive things and do what you can between now and then. If it's amplifying on social media, then amplify on social media. You know what I mean? It's
It's
What
not
I
my
keep,
sister
it's
who
what I told
keeps
my
checking
parents
it.
every time they expressed all this, the legitimate dismay and fear about the
Mhm,
election. It's still, then, what are you doing about it?
right. Well,
What are
I
you
remember. Oh,
and
sorry.
they just like they got to the point where when they would say that, I would say, you know what I'm going to say, right? And they would say, I know, what am I doing? And I'm like, yeah. do
Yeah.
something about it.
So going back to 2008, I don't, no, none of us thought that we would be able to elect a black president. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that was, and yet what he instilled in us
Hmm.
back then and was the hope, right?
Yeah.
That it wasn't, like false hope either.
No.
And she's doing the same things
Yeah.
Yeah.
that he was doing, and we owe it to her
Yeah.
to have faith in that
Yep.
and to do everything we can to make it easy for her to be elected. And
Yep.
that, yes, I've given tons of money,
Yep.
and I amplify, in all different channels what
Yep.
I can, and I do my thing. It's crooks and liars,
You do a
and
lot of
everything.
crooks and
So all of that is to say that we all are doing more than a lot of people are,
Yeah.
and you have to try to like let go of the anxiety and just hope.
Yeah.
And I believe that we do have hope because we have reservations for the inaugural.
Yes, you do.
That definitely was a an act of faith
That was
Uh-huh.
an act of faith.
Absolutely. And
because
I
we
don't,
had those reservations right after she became the nominee.
That's
yep,
right. You sure did.
and I don't regret
No.
I don't regret making them, and I'm anxious to fly
I'll
out.
see y'all in January.
That's right. That's right. And maybe I can even drag my husband with me if he just doesn't want to have hope. That's the thing. Like he wants to be
That's
nervous.
a coping mechanism.
It is.
And
So
some
I think
people kind of,
after,
I'm not saying this is your husband, but some people kind of get off on the drama of anxiety surrounding something like
yeah,
this. That they
that's not
don't,
him. He's just a cynic.
right.
He just doesn't believe enough in people.
Yeah.
But I do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I wouldn't have, I didn't in the beginning. But when I saw the number of people who were so 1,000% invested in electing her,
Mhm.
from the minute she announced, I
Yeah.
changed my assessment.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
those were heady days.
I initially thought, you know, the Democratic Party was just kicking itself in the nuts.
Yeah.
And when I was like, well, there you know, there goes our chance to retain democracy, because
Mhm.
I did not believe this country was enlightened enough or flexible enough or care enough about what happens to the country to, you know, or even had the tiniest grip of reality to understand. And I'm happily, you know, proven wrong. It's a much higher level of engagement than what I thought, even with what's happening in the Middle East, even
Yeah.
with that, even with all the you know, terrible, ignorant, uneducated um, movement right now that is, you know, at its
Mhm.
core, in my mind, deeply anti-Semitic. And there are, you know, people calling, you know, Biden Genocide Joe, and people saying they won't vote for Kamala Harris because she won't support an arms embargo. You know what? That's even with that, I still feel like the vast majority of people are, you know, or way more than I initially thought, are just ready to elect her and ready to be done with this
I
fucking
Right.
nightmare.
I mean, I do think that part of it is that they're ready to be done with Trump, and
Yeah,
that's
with the
Yeah.
that's fine
nightmare.
with me. It'll make it harder in 4 years, but right now that's fine with me. And you guys, I don't think we've talked enough about JD Vance.
No, we haven't.
Right?
You're
I
right.
mean, we talk about Trump, we talk about him sundowning. What happens if he really does have a meltdown between now
Well,
and November? And then it's JD Vance, and my God, is he an evil dude?
well, it's not JD Vance, it's Peter Thiel pulling the strings.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but JD
Bingo.
Vance is capable of pulling it off.
Yes, he
Right.
is.
You know, JD Vance,
Absolutely.
you know, if even if Teal is pulling the strings with Trump or whatever, Trump, you know, might not be able to manage anything but his own impulses, you know,
Right.
and he can't even do that really that well.
Look,
So,
Project 2025 is locked and loaded,
yeah,
and they're ready to go with it.
yeah,
And if they lose this time, they'll just dust it back off for the
in the
next
next,
time. But we
They,
yeah,
have
they
to continue
absolutely
to make.
will. But the I think we need to pay attention to and amplify the fact that JD Vance is as bad for this country as Trump is,
yeah,
and if not worse.
yeah,
Right.
And part of the reason that I say that is because, in 2008, part of the reason that Obama won in the margin that he won was because of Sarah Palin,
yeah.
because Republicans, like, and I knew several of them, voted for Obama because they could not abide Sarah Palin being vice president and
Right.
possibly being
Right.
president. And JD Vance is worse than Sarah Palin. Worse.
Well, I mean, JD Vance is smart,
Yeah,
Yeah. He was
exactly.
and
very
That makes him
scared of
worse.
debate, you know?
yeah, and
Yeah,
he has the potential, despite the donut shop bullshit, he has the potential to come off as like a reasonable human being, as he did during the debate,
Yeah.
right.
you know. And it is just, that's alarming.
It is
Yeah.
alarming, and because it builds a permission structure for people to say, well, even if Trump melts down, there's JD Vance, and
Yes,
he's reasonable. He agreed with Tim
right.
Walz, and no, he's not reasonable. No, he is not. He's just a con artist, and he's better at it than Trump.
And he's 1,000% bought and paid for by
Yeah,
Project 2025.
right.
Mhm. Yeah, you have this. I did not realize that so many of our oligarchs had escaped from South Africa after the end of apartheid. I did
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
realize that when we gave them citizenship.
I
yeah,
have
good for
I have
us.
stories about people that
Talk
came from
about
South
open borders.
Africa after the end of apartheid that are none of them good. I mean, I had clients, I had their neighbors that were, bullied my son, I mean, it was they had an attitude, and like an entitlement. And it was, I mean, yeah, I have nothing good to say about the people that came here from South Africa after
Oh,
apartheid.
oh my gosh. I didn't
So,
know that.
yeah. So, and they came in like a lot of people all at once.
Yeah.
Like, you want to talk about migrants? Let's talk
I
about
was just gonna,
guys
I mean,
coming from
I,
South Africa,
I
right? I
didn't make
mean,
it out like, but I just said kind of under my breath, I'm like, talk about open borders.
Right.
You know,
exactly,
we let those knuckleheads in, and look what we got in return.
Yeah.
exactly.
You know,
Yeah. And so, I mean, when they talk about immigrants and they talk about dangerous immigrants, those are the Peter Thiels, the Elon Musks, all of
Yeah.
those people are far more dangerous than the folks that, make the that, wash the dishes or
and they
pick the
came
fruit.
here because they couldn't oppress people in South Africa anymore. So we
Right.
were the next best. You know, well,
Well,
let's
they
go
can
to
come and be
America.
white here, right?
Yeah, we can. They love white people in America.
Yeah,
Like, they didn't choose another country that is
right.
more. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, it's just and JD Vance is the puppet of Peter Thiel, absolutely no question, and Elon Musk. But and he's dangerous.
Yeah,
He would for I
he
mean,
would repeal the 19th Amendment if he could.
all let's just start with the fact that he is inexperienced. He's only been in the Senate for 2 years, and of those 2 years, he spent the last year campaigning.
Right.
And
So
what
he's
did
an
he do
I
before
He
mean,
had
that?
no political experience prior to that. The only
Right.
thing he had done was work for Peter Thiel.
Yeah,
right,
that was it.
Yeah.
and write a book
And he
that
wrote a
was a phony book, that made everybody think that he was some representative of the, white working class,
Yeah, in
the
Appalachia.
the left behind white working class
Yeah.
and everything. That's what he did. So he he's obviously, shown that he can climb the ladder,
Mhm.
and everything. And he will do stuff, I believe, unilaterally. He'll do whatever Peter Thiel tells him to do.
Yeah.
And at that point, we're in a situation where the rule of law doesn't matter anymore. That's what worries me.
Yeah.
The billionaires will 100% own the country.
Yeah.
Mhm. So that's why this is such an important election. And that's why I don't I told Donna this before we started to record. I just have a piece about this that I can't explain, but I'm not going to bed stressed out about it. I feel like this is going to happen.
Well, half the time I am like, the American people are not going to let the country be taken over by
Mhm.
oligarchs.
Right.
But then the other half the time, I'm remembering that Trump narrowly won in 2016. And again, I keep saying that I've got PTSD from 2016. I
We do.
do.
We're
We
traumatized.
all do. I mean, there's no question about that, but I just keep
Shouldn't have
reminding
happened. Even with the interference that we got from Russia and Comey, it should not have happened,
Hmm.
you know?
right. But
Well, even
people
with
have had since 2016 to actually get to know this guy.
Yeah.
Right. And there are Republicans out there who will not vote for him again. I saw a video the other day of a guy in like the reddest district in Georgia, right, who said he was a registered Republican, he voted for Trump, and the interviewer said, "Are you going to vote for him again?" And he said, "No. Why not?" And he said, the guy said, "Have you looked at his lips?" And he said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, because if they're moving, he's lying."
Yeah.
And, he said, I just can't vote for that. I'm not going to. And
But the thing,
I believe there's a lot of people like that.
Some of us have had way longer than 2016 to get to know him.
Right.
New Yorkers and, people who live in New Jersey, we've known about him for a lot longer than 2016. And
that's why he can't win New York.
That's why he can't win New York. And, we've hated him for a long time. So yeah, but the rest of the country finally got
to know him.
Got to know him.
Yeah.
So, it didn't stop a lot of them it didn't stop however 7 million from voting for him, or however many million, 200, how many millions voted for him in 2020.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, he's definitely trying to, add incels and, wherever he can.
Yeah.
They're micro-targeting too.
Yeah.
But I just.
First, they were micro-targeting first.
Right.
So it's why I love seeing Kamala not leaving any audience unturned.
Exactly.
I applaud her possibly going on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, I know. I think she absolutely should go on Joe Rogan. No question about it.
Yeah.
And if she can get on, she should go.
She is absolutely fearless.
She is.
Yeah, my 2020 t-shirt that I bought from her says fearless in rainbow print. And because that's she's always been like that.
Yep.
She doesn't have a problem with that. Her interview with Charlamagne the God was great yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Her interview with Howard Stern was great, but that was a super friendly audience from the beginning.
Yeah.
But Charlamagne the God, not so much.
He was very even-handed.
Right. He was even-handed with her. But when I heard that she was going on his show, I didn't anticipate necessarily that it was going to be friendly, because he's not
a cheerleader.
He's not a cheerleader.
Right. Not at all.
And he's not got the best reputation when it comes to how he speaks about women.
Right.
So, especially Black women. So that's not, I had a little bit of concern about how, not her. I knew Harris would do great no matter what, because she always does.
Right.
But, I just was, really pleased that it was a fair interview and not an aggressive on his part going after her for for shits and giggles. It was good.
It was a good interview, and I think I'll be interested to see how Bret Baier goes. That there's going to be, it'll be framed in the Fox News frame, right? So oh, hi, Bret.
I was like, oh my gosh, it's Donna.
Hi, Kamala.
And then I realized what you were doing.
Yeah.
Oh no, Donna.
Yeah, come back.
Did you fall?
So that'll be.
I'll be watching that as soon as we're done here.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what my mother-in-law thinks about that, because she watches Fox News religiously, and so does other in-laws of mine. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how. I don't think her mind will be changed, but maybe one of the things that Trump does, and JD Vance to some extent does this too, is they exaggerate her. So, and Democrats generally, right? It's not just that we're liberals, it's that we're fascists. It's you know what I mean? It's like he projects themselves onto us, right? Yeah. They're fascists, they're communists, they're socialists, and everything.
A dictator.
Right. And then you see this perfectly reasonable person going on Fox News, submitting herself to the questions as they're framed, and you say, maybe they're not really that extreme. Now, I don't think that that means that the people I know will vote for her, but it definitely shakes their worldview up a little bit, you know? And
Yeah.
you should see the mail that they send out. If you think the ads are bad, you should see the mail that gets sent out. Holy shit. This mail makes us like we have horns and a tail
Yeah.
and, shoot shit out our back. I mean,
Yeah.
it's awful. So I don't
Well,
know.
there is the word rat in our name, so I mean,
Ugh. Demon rat.
demon
That's
rat. Oh, right, demon's even better, right?
Yeah. Demon rat is a thing. I mean, they call us that, and it's so stupid. I mean,
It is stupid.
it reminds me of elementary school.
Juvenile. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's juvenile.
like, no, anyway, and she's above that, so it'll be interesting. She will not rise. She doesn't take the bait
She's
ever.
smiling. She is smiling while she's talking to him.
She
Yeah,
She's
that's
so
one of the
good.
reasons I
Look,
guess that
she's calm. She's yeah.
joyful. I mean, she's joyful
Right.
all the time.
Yeah. I love that.
I do too. And I think that is infectious,
Yeah.
that people gravitate toward that and away from. This
True.
is not to say that there won't be ugly, and let's just say for the sake of argument that this is a runaway and she gets elected and has 320 electoral votes. So it's not even close. Let's just say that for the sake of argument. And Colin Allred is elected and John Tester is elected and we have the Senate, we have the House.
I like that scenario much
Go
better.
for it. Keep going. Keep talking, baby.
So yeah, so all of these things are good. And then you just got to be prepared for the fact that they're not going to sit still for it, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be assholes.
It's going to be just like it was when Obama came in.
Exactly. And so but this time we can't tune out, right? We have to stay engaged and
Right.
and fight for the things that she wants. Like if we have these majorities, we have to use them.
Right.
Like, does anybody think that if there's a Supreme Court opening, does anybody think that the Republicans are going to try again to keep her from being able to appoint somebody?
Well, the thing is,
that's why we have to win the Senate too.
I know we got to take care of that and take care of the filibuster and take care of like all that stuff.
And right. Sherrod Brown and Colin Allred all have to win.
So we need to like speak those words. And Katrina Christensen.
Yes, who's been doing really well. Her fundraising has been going for like gangbusters.
Yeah, she's been doing really well with that. And as she's closing the gap, I just hope there's enough runway to do it. Shut it.
Go Katrina. Go Katrina. You know? I'm just rooting for her so hard.
Yeah. I mean, imagine that this is the stuff that I think about instead of being anxious. Like, what if we have the Senate? What if we have the House? What if we have the White House? What are we going to do first? We're going to do Roe, right? And ditch the filibuster for Roe. That works. We won't have Kirsten Sinema. We won't have Joe Manchin.
We'll do
bring back the child tax credit and all the other economic things that come.
How about the Voting Rights Act or
that's another one.
John Lewis Voting Rights Act will happen.
Voting Rights Act.
Yeah,
to me that should be first.
Yeah, I agree. I think so too. And then
ready to go. They can be done.
Yeah.
Week 1, they can be done.
Well, that's what they're working on, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just like when Obama got elected, they went right in there.
Right there. Who passed away the other day?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Lily Ledbetter.
Oh, Lily, I missed that part. Yes. She passed away.
Yes.
As did Ethel Kennedy. Her funeral was today.
Yes.
Yep. So anyway, I mean, all of these are kind of the things I'm thinking about. Like, what are we going to get, what are we going to get done? How are we going to get it done? What do we need to do to be ready, so we're not taken by surprise like we were in 2009.
No, we know the game plan now.
Yeah.
We know the game plan and we know the assignment.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And we'll have a new assignment. We'll have a new
assignment.
Hopefully a fun one.
Yeah.
Or at least a, productive one. And hopefully, the thing is that they're going to, the others, we have to be prepared for some degree of violence, not to be a
Yeah, you're
killjoy,
right. No,
and
you're
we
right.
have to be prepared for some degree of attempted violence.
They are
And
gearing up for that.
they're
They're planning in plain sight.
they're planning in plain sight. Not where it's not just Project 2025 that's locked and loaded. Um,
It's true.
so we have to be ready for as fun as it is to. I'm sorry about my dog.
So
So as fun as it is to fantasize about all those legislative things, we have to be prepared for the possibility that uh, as soon as she's inaugurated, or even pre-inauguration,
Inauguration. They're going to go with
they might
the
have
vote counting
bigger
first.
things they need to handle.
Yeah.
I don't really think
Again,
I don't think there's going to be another insurrection like that, but
I
no,
I
this
don't think so
is
either.
unrest in the streets.
That's why I really want this election to be so high turnout and
yeah.
so,
Yeah,
basically just blow out, because if it's close, then we're going to be facing something else that's
right.
not good. I mean, we're going to be back to where we were in
But,
2020.
but DOJ is prepared.
I know.
DOJ is
DOJ is
prepared. How
prepared.
many have they prosecuted from the last one? They're still prosecuting them, by the way.
So
They're
I'm not
still
talking about
arresting.
prosecutions. I am talking about ready for any unrest that
Oh, yeah, to put it down. Yeah.
DOJ is prepared. You don't have Trump in charge of the government and
Right.
encouraging it.
Right.
This DOJ is prepared. Mark
Yeah.
Elias, God bless him and his staff. They
Ugh.
keep winning more court cases,
Yep.
and you
Which we
know,
should talk about, by the way.
well, in
We have a
Georgia,
couple. Yeah.
they the a judge ruled that election officials, where the law says you shall certify the election, they
Yes.
have to certify the election. They
I
don't
know
get
what shall
to.
means.
Well, no, they were arguing on that. They were arguing on shall, and actually, this ruling is going to be revisited later. This is a temporary ruling that'll get us through the election, but after the election, they're going to look at it. They're going to have a hearing.
Yeah.
I thought that shall meant had to
Yeah,
in legalese.
It shall does mean had to.
it does.
Absolutely does.
So why all of a sudden is that in question?
Because the Republicans are questioning it.
Yeah. Because lawyers are
But that's what
lawyers.
I'm saying. Like, why is there going to be a hearing? Like, who grants this hearing? Why isn't it just no? They're not. You shall. Period. You will.
I don't know.
You
Because
know
they
what I
keep
mean?
appealing it to a higher court,
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
it's going to a higher court. Okay, of
Yeah.
course.
Right?
They're
You know,
appealing their laws.
it's
Yeah.
just like we thought the president is a citizen like the rest of us and
Oh
does
no, but
not
he's
have
immune.
immunity from crimes.
She's immune too. Yeah.
And John Roberts,
Yeah, I'll be curious to see if that holds if Kamala Harris is president.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, she won't do anything illegal.
Right. Because
But
yeah, same as Joe
it's Joe
Biden.
Biden, right? They won't do anything. But so that's why this whole immunity thing is such a joke.
it needs to go. There needs to be a law to
I
specify
agree.
the
Or
president
whatever
handles.
we got to do. I mean, a
It's gotta get done. It's
constitutional
gotta get
amendment,
written.
whatever it
It's
is,
gotta
got to
get
be.
written in because we cannot let this decision stand.
I
Yeah.
know. I
So,
agree.
and then the other
Oh, by the
issue.
way, I'm sorry. John Roberts was shocked
I
that the
heard.
country did not understand his highfalutin language and
Oh,
that it was meant to be for the ages. He was shocked.
mm,
I mean, God, get with the program, dude.
I know he's a regular Thurgood Marshall.
They
Really?
are all in that right-wing information bubble. All 6 of them. They have
Shocked.
no intellectual curiosity.
I,
They have no intellectual honesty. They have no consistency. It's all hypocritical bullshit.
well, and then we have Kavanaugh, who now we find out that the FBI investigation was just a sham.
Yeah.
that all the tips went to the White House.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we knew that. That would.
Well, we knew it, but now we know it.
Now we know it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nobody thought that the FBI really investigated him.
Yeah.
Like to the degree, like gave it the proper scrutiny.
Right.
Yeah, there's a lot.
But the other Georgia decision, what was the other one? Crap.
Georgia or Nebraska?
No, Georgia. There were two Georgia decisions.
Georgia one like the other day, but there were a couple of Georgia decisions last week.
No, there were a couple, I thought yesterday with so they have to certify the election
and they don't have to hand count.
Right.
That's right.
No hand counting.
No hand counting. That's what it was.
Anyway,
change the rules so close to the election.
Right. Got it. Okay. That was the other one. I knew there was another one.
In Nebraska, felons can vote.
Right.
Yes.
So Republicans tried to make it so they couldn't. And honestly, you know, I know one felon who isn't going to be able to vote.
You talking about Steve Bannon?
I wasn't. I was thinking about Trump. Yeah, Steve Bannon.
Even more high profile.
Steve Bannon is serving time right now for misdemeanor, and he was pardoned from the felonies.
That's right.
But he's going to be facing more felonies after he gets out of jail.
Oh, let's hope.
So
he gets out of jail just before November 5th. So
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, you guys, our hour's just about up.
Wow.
Can we end with Jimmy Carter casting his vote?
Yay!
Yes.
Yay, Jimmy.
We love you, Jimmy.
We do.
So now let's see if he gets to live long enough to see her inaugurated.
I hope so.
Wouldn't that be something?
That would be. It would be wonderful.
Well, that's a good note to end on.
It is.
That is our show for this week. Join us next time on YouTube, MOMocrats.buzzsprout.com, or on your favorite podcast service such as iTunes, Google, and Amazon Music. And be sure to check our Facebook page for updates. I'm Donna Schwartz Mills with Karoli and Aliza saying goodbye for the MOMocrats. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
MOMocrats Mama Chat is part of the Demcast family of podcasts.